Okay, let's continue with chapter 2. The chapter is not as fully fleshed out as chapter 1, so from here on out some scenes will get more basic summaries to give you an idea of what the scene would look like. So now I present chapter 2, It Dawns in Fire. We start the chapter in flashback-like setting of the last chapter. Beginning showing Taiki's hideout in ruins, a vision of Nori and Rin coughing in the smoke, dragging Makoto away from Makoto's perspective, moving out with a face of Dragoon, staring intensely, looking intimidating. At this point, Makoto wakes up in a hospital bed with a scream, after which 2 hands land on his shoulders, and a familiar figure ends up embracing him. "I thought I had lost you," the figure says. "Dad?" Makoto asks as you see the figure is an adult Tyson. "It's alright, son. Everything is gonna be okay." Makoto glances with a confused look at his father's blade lying on the desk next to him. "What happened?" he asks. Tyson leans back answering, "You got knocked out real hard, but your friends brought you in." Makoto gets a concerned look and continues, "My friends! Are they alright?" Tyson stands up again with a serious look. Makoto stares down with a hint of guilt. "You know what happened?" Tyson stands by the window and responds, "I know you acted foolish and stupid. That's about the extent of it." Makoto answers in a whimpering, "I'm sorry, I took it, but..." Tyson gets an angry expression. "No buts! You've been out cold for a week." Makoto gets shocked. "A week? That means..." Tyson nods, thinking that his scolding has finally sunk in. "Correct. That means..." Makoto jumps up, sparkling eyes finishing the sentence. "That means the World Championships are almost here." Tyson facepalms, thinking, what to do with this kid. Makoto changes to a more serious expression. "Huh? Wait. That dragon. That's why I'm here, isn't it?" Makoto grabs his dad's sleeves in amazement. "So it was all true, right, Dad?" Tyson looks as annoyed as Makoto nags him. "Right, Dad? Dad? Right? Dad?" Tyson yells at Makoto, getting annoyed. "Okay! There's an ancient dragon spirit in my spinning top. Happy?" Makoto looks on in amazement, thinking, so cool. Makoto's face turns from amazement to disappointment. "Wait, doesn't this mean you cheated?" Tyson calls out, "No!" Makoto gets up on the bed and points at Tyson in an accusing way. Yes it does." Tyson closes his eyes and tries to calm himself. "No, it doesn't." Makoto adds the line, "I never thought you'd do such a thing, Dad. I'm seriously disappointed in you." Tyson calmly picks up his blade, adding, "To have a bit beast isn't the same as cheating. Many bladers have them." Makoto adds in awe, "Bit beast? There's more of them?" Tyson looks at his blade. "Listen, Makoto, the blader spirit is very strong in you. So strong, in fact, that Dragoon must have mistook it for my own." Makoto looks down with a more serious face as Tyson looks out the window, finishing his sentence. "Otherwise he'd never have released full force like that." Makoto looks like he's trying to figure this all out. "So the spirit inside Dragoon thought that I were you?" Tyson answers, "Yes." Tyson keeps staring out the window. "Bit beasts sense you rather than see you whenever they are sealed. It could have gone much worse than it did." Makoto looks like he realised something. "Sense? Wait! When that dragon came free, I sensed something." A flashback of Taiki standing in the darkness watching plays as Makoto continues. "It was like Dragoon but darker, cold and sinister." Makoto looks up at his father. "Does that mean the guy I sensed that from had a bit beast of his own?" Tyson answers, "Probably." Makoto looks down in sadness. "No wonder he's the champ." Tyson sits down and puts his hands on Makoto's shoulders. "A bit beast or a blade alone can never make somebody a champion." Tyson finishes as Makoto looks at him. "That's why you must never use Dragoon again. Promise me." Makoto reluctantly answers, "I promise." The next scene continues at Taiki's personal mansion where he's being interviewed. "We're here today with Japan's reigning Beyblade champion, Taiki Ichihara. So, Taiki, how does it feel with the preliminaries approaching?" the reporter asks Taichi, which Taiki answers, "I'm feeling eager to get back in there and bring back the trophy to Japan. As for preliminaries, they don't matter much since I know I'll come out on top." The reporter says, "You sound really confident. What will be your approach?" Taiki smiles wickedly. "If I told you that, I wouldn't be the champion now, would I? As for my confidence, I know I've earned it. The reporter continues, That's true. It was a really long time since Japan reached so far in the World Championships as last year, which have led some to dub you as the next Tyson. How do you feel about that title? Taiki adds, Tyson was a fine champion, but the world has changed. It is a different place now. The scenes show shadows of various bladers as Taiki continues. It's questionable if even the so-called strongest generation would make it a day in this day and age. There's more bladers than ever before, and this has brought out a new level of talent, monsters of the likes you would never have seen before. The days of blading for fun are long gone. If you want to be a champion, winning is all that matters. Taiki clenches his fists, looking into the camera. You have to obtain power, and through power you gain victory. Taiki turns to the side with an arrogant look. Any blader that doesn't understand this will get chewed up and spit upon in this upcoming tournament, I can tell you that. The reporter looks on in awe. Wow, what an incredible statement. Would you call that blader spirit? Taiki turns away and walks to his door. The blader spirit is pure nonsense, a fictional idea from a bygone age. Some like to talk about it, but in the end, all battles come down to power, skill, and strategy. The reporter turns to the camera as Taiki goes back into his mansion. There you have it, the words of a true champion, our national hero Taiki Ichihara. Taiki enters into this hall filled with trophies and stuffed insects, 4 of which are a giant hornet, a praying mantis, a rhinoceros beetle, and a giant centipede, suggesting their bits were artificially created for those who can catch up on the hint. He goes up the stairs to look at his plaques, where the dark, shadowy figure appears on the top of the stairs. Wearing a hat, a cane, and a trench coat, the figure smirks with a shiny demon-like eyes beneath his hat.
You disappoint me, Taiki Ichihara.
Taiki falls back, in terror. Skeleton? Skeleton lifts his head with a cruel scowl.
To you, it's Mr. Skeleton, boy.
Taiki bows down on the floor in panic before him. Forgive me, Mr. Skeleton, sir. Skeleton walks down the stairs calmly.
Forgive you?
Shows his hand moving in a claw-like shape.
Just who do you think you are?
Skeleton points at the wall filled with stuffed insects.
I put over 1,000 bits in your care, and still you can't do a simple job right. Why is that?
Taiki looks up with a desperate look. I will this time. I will be world champion, I promise. Skeleton gives off a mocking look.
I couldn't care less about your tournament. Your title. Or you. What I'm here for is...
Skeleton's eyes fills up with hunger.
The blue dragon. It's awakened. And not a word came from you.
Taiki looks surprised. You know? Then it was one of yours that attacked my... Skeleton shouts furiously.
Silence!
Taiki's face cowers in fear as Skeleton points his cane at him and speaks.
There's not a rat, snake, or cockroach in this world that I don't know about. And I'm telling you.
He continues with a smirk.
When one of mine start hunting on your turf, you will surely know.
Skeleton points his cane towards Taiki's throat, forcing him to the ground with brute strength.
Don't look so frightened, my boy. I'm just here to give you one final chance, for old time's sake.
Skeleton smiles eagerly.
Your target will be the same person that attacked your underlings. He's a bulk of blader, and he goes by the name of...
The scene finishes with a silhouette very similar to that of Kai Hibatari. From here on out, the scenes have not been fully written, so bear with us that these are either summaries of events and battles, sometimes written out like a draft, and often need to be fully planned out. Should someone step up to write them and or draw them, we'll basically just make sure you can grasp everything that happens, that is all. So let's continue. The fourth scene of this chapter takes place in a Beyblade bar, owned and hosted by Billy from Season 1. Billy will stand as the bartender as Kenny comes in sitting down, ordering a sake. In the background, Taiki's interview is playing on the TV. Billy and Kenny small talk a little as Makoto runs into the bar, and now he's checked out of the hospital. Billy calls out, "Hey, no children!" To which Kenny says, "Come on, Billy, he's probably just interested in Beyblading," without looking in Makoto's direction. Billy lets it slip. Kenny looks up at the TV holding his sake in his hand, not noticing Makoto, who orders a milkshake. Kenny has a less enthusiastic expression on his face as the interview reaches the line, "It's questionable if even the so-called strongest generation would make it in this day and age." Kenny's face cringes as he hears that, and he says, "Turn off that garbage, I don't want to hear any more." Billy says, "Sure, Kenny," and goes to turn it off. Kenny starts to ramble. What the hell does that kid know about his power? He wasn't even a twinkle in someone's eye when the Blade Breaker stood at the top of the world. Makoto drinks from his milkshake. Billy turns around and looks at Kenny asking, "How long ago was that really? About 20 years? Kenny answers, "Yeah. It's when they all quit it all started. The so-called great golden age of Beyblading, where every single person with a blade thinks he's a champion, and every single champion claims to be the best in all of history. People have no idea what they're talking about, saying this era is better than the last." Kenny drinks from his glass and slams it down. "The only thing that's better are the blades, the technology. With HMS blades widespread the world over, of course people on average gain more power." Billy smiles. "Yeah, and we all know who to blame for that, huh?" Billy pours up a drink and laughs as Kenny gets more upset. "Come on, Billy, I'm serious. Think about it. I bet you can't find a single blader who even begins to understand what the real blader spirit meant. Everyone just throws around the term like it has no meaning or dismisses it altogether." Kenny points at a picture hanging on the wall of the Blade Breakers and calls out, "They were the true champions, the essence of the blader spirit itself." Billy pours him another drink to calm him down. "Come on, Kenny. You sound like an old man rambling about the past. I think you might be getting a little drunk." Kenny continues his speech. "I might be getting older, but that does not mean I'm not right. Bladers who are great enough to go the distance against all odds have completely disappeared from the sport. All that's left are wannabes, pretenders, and scum." Billy asks, "That's why you quit your job at the PPB?" Kenny looks down and answers, "Yeah, there's simply no true bladers left." Makoto finishes his milkshake. "Hey, old guy, don't badmouth my generation." Kenny gets surprised and turns around. "Huh?" Makoto looks around. "'Cause I'm going to the preliminaries to beat Taiki. Then I'm going to win the world championships. And then one day..." Makoto looks up at Kenny with a face filled with determination. "I'm going to be just as great as he was." Makoto points to the picture of Tyson on the wall. Kenny stands there, dumbfounded, noticing Makoto looks exactly like Tyson, thinking, "Tyson?" Billy looks up and smiles. "Looks like there's still hope, huh?" Makoto jumps down from his chair. "You bet. Thanks for the milkshake." Kenny looks on in disbelief, thinking, That looked exactly like Tyson." Then he looks at his drink of sake and thinks, "I'm going back to drinking milk." Makoto runs out of the bar through the mall in which it is located when suddenly he runs into Nori and another kid and says, "Nori, Shota, what are you doing here?" Shota responds, "Makoto, we finally found you." They look worried as Nori continues, "There's trouble. Big trouble." Makoto looks confused. "Huh? What are you talking about?" And that's how the scene ends. In the next scene, Makoto meets with his friends in a park. There's a huge entourage of broken blades laying on the ground as Makoto gets totally surprised. "What is this? Who did that? Was it Taiki?" Nori looks down. "It might be far worse than that." Makoto looks back with a confused face. "Worse than Taiki?" Shota says, "Much worse. The guy that did this is a BeyUK blader." Makoto doesn't understand. "BeyUK blader? What's that?" Nori pulls Makoto's shirt. "Makoto! The BeyUK bladers are said to be the most powerful bladers in the world." We show a shadowy picture of the three main bladers as Nori continues. They are all trained at a place called BeyUK Abbey in Russia, a training academy for bladers that have produced countless world champions over the years. Some say their training methods are more strict and ruthless than anywhere else in the world. There are even some rumours who claim there are bladers there who are so strong they can't even compete, and they're not allowed to enter tournaments. Makoto looks confused. "Why in the world would you Beyblade if you can't enter into tournaments?" "Sounds a bit exaggerated if you ask me." Nori answers, "I'm only telling you what I've heard." Shota butts in. "Hey Nori, you forgot to mention who runs the place." Nori reacts, "Oh yeah, the headmaster was one of your father's old rivals, the former leader of the Blitzkrieg boys, Tala." Makoto asks, "What does all of this have to do with me?" Shota says, "Don't you get it? This guy is here Because he wants to battle you. Makoto, me? Why me? Nori adds in, Makoto, he heard of your battle against Taiki's minions. He wants to face you at midnight by BeyUK River. He wants to test himself against the Blue Dragon. You have to fight him. Makoto, Dragoon MSUV. I can't. I promised Dad I'd never use it again. Kids that are gathered around and have lost their blades are pleading. Please, Makoto, we know you can do it. If you put Dragoon, you'll destroy him for sure. Nori looks seriously at Makoto. Makoto, please. There's no telling what he'll do if you refuse this challenge. He might destroy more and more of our blades until he gets his way. You can't let us down now. Makoto looks reluctant. I'm not sure. That blade was pretty hard to control. Shota chimes in. Hey, you tried an entire year to be able to blade with a HMS system, right? So how much harder can it be? It's not like we're asking you to go full force again. Makoto looks down as Nori speaks to him. Look, I understand if you don't want to do this, we'll just find some other way to deal with it. Makoto speaks. I'll do it. The kids say, what? Makoto looks up with determination. I'll face him at midnight. Nori adds, and we'll try to sneak out too. Me and Shota will be cheering for you, as will the rest of you guys. Right, guys? Shota nods. Right. The kids cheer. Let's beat this guy. Makoto looks on at the broken blades with a heavy frown. Rin stands behind a tree, with crossed arms thinking, at the river by midnight, huh? She looks at her blade as the scene ends. The final scene, which will include the battle, starts with Makoto standing before the cabinet thinking, here we go again. He picks up the blade and whispers, forgive me, Dad. Down by BeyUK River, where all the previous events of the original series have taken place, the kids have gathered as they said they would, and all start chanting as Makoto enters. Makoto! 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 Makoto runs forth through the crowd with a triumphant smile, giving high fives to the crowd, and he keeps the smile until the crowd splits, revealing no one is in front of him. Makoto stops and looks round. Where is he? Nori goes on. I don't know. He should be here by now. Shota adds in. Maybe he chickened out. Makoto runs up the hill. He better not have. He reaches the top of the hill and calls out, Hey! Balkov guy! He continues to look round as the other kids follow him up the hillside, and Makoto moves onto the bridge, running on the sidewalk. Balkov guy! Suddenly he gets interrupted by a scream. Ardor arrow! A blade flies down in front of Makoto, and the blade strikes down in a flaming blaze of fire, striking into the asphalt, breaking it apart, making it crack, not just from the initial impact, but also from the pure spinning power, until Makoto stands back, frozen in shock. Makoto looks up where the voice came from. Right up there, on top of a lamppost, stands the Kai-like shadow that was shown before in the previous scene. The figure speaks out. This is a man-to-man battle. Who the hell told you to bring a cheerleading squad? Makoto looks up with a nervous face. So you're the Balkov challenger? The character smiles as his face is revealed. The name's Gal. And what's with that pathetic look of fright on your face? Gal points down at him, and Makoto responds in anger. Fright? I'm not afraid of you. Gal answers, Is that so? The blade strikes in a burning flash in front of Makoto's face, making him fall backwards in complete terror, as his friends run up to him, calling out, Makoto! The blade flies back up high as Gal catches it in midair, and lands on the ground hunching with the blade in his hand, looking menacing. You sure look scared to me. Makoto struggles up, biting together, as his friends help him not to look ahead in awe. I'm not scared, Makoto adds. Gal rises with a pleased smile. Good. Then perhaps we should get this party started. They both step down beneath the bridge, having their blades ready to launch, as Makoto has the crowd behind him cheering. I'm going to make you pay for destroying all my friends' Beyblades. Gal stands in the shadow of the bridge, looking ahead. It was their own fault for being stupid enough to want to fight me in the first place. Rin shows up from the shadows, and looks down on the battle about to take place. So history is repeating itself. It's the Vermilion Bird versus the Blue Dragon once more. Everyone starts counting down. 3, 2, 1. Makoto rips his blade. Let it rip! Gal rips his blade especially ferociously at the same time, screaming as he does so. The blades spin around each other in a circle, studying each other. Gal thinks, he's being hesitant. In that case, he swings his arm sideways. Go! Dronzer! Dronza MSUV breaks the waiting game, striking forth with a flash. Makoto calls out, "Fall back!" Dragoon narrowly dodges and flies back with full force just from the impact of the air pressure alone. Rin looks on noticing what happened, thinking, "It didn't even hit, yet it struck back Dragoon." Makoto steps back, trying to focus. Gal raises his arm. "Attack!" Dronza strikes straight ahead after Dragoon, and Dragoon moves around the attack like he's trying to run away from Dronza. "Keep your distance, Dragoon!" Makoto cries out as he's starting to sweat. Dronza flies up and strikes down at Dragoon as Gal calls out in great anger, "Take this!" Dragoon falls back with great ferocity over the rough and rocky surface, wobbling before it regains balances. Makoto breathes out thinking, "That was close." The kids behind him start shouting, "You can do it, Makoto!" Shota screams, "Fight him!" with Nori saying, "Show him what you're made of!" Makoto looks back at them. "You guys?" And Gal stands up, shaking his head. "Now that's just pathetic." Gal opens his eyes. "When I heard some newcomer had taken possession of the Blue Dragon and trashed half Taiki's gang, I wasn't expecting some half-rate cowed cosplayer to show up." Nori calls forth, "You can't say that about Makoto!" Makoto raises his hand. "Stop. It's okay, I'll admit it." Makoto looks straight up at Gal. "I was scared." Gal yells at Makoto, clenching his fist. "I only came here to test myself against the Blue Dragon. If you pride yourself as a blader, stop running and start fighting." Makoto looks on with determination. "Trust me, I will." Gal calls forth his blade. "I've had enough. Dronza, finish him!" Dronza strikes forth with a flash of power when suddenly, "Go Dragoon!" Makoto calls out as the Dragoon flies full forth in full confrontation. The two blades face full force with sparks flying. Gal opens his eyes wide. "What the?" Suddenly, Dronza flies back, landing far away. Gal looks shocked as the wind flows through him. Makoto speaks. "You were right. I can't run away like that." Makoto stands in the wind of his blade looking cool. "Not if I'm going to become the world champion." Rin looks on in amazement, thinking, "Can he really win?" Gal looks mad. "World champion? You?" Gal points at Makoto with extreme aggression. "You, who couldn't even make a single hit before." Dronza charges forth, again striking relentlessly. "You, who only dodged my attacks because I held back." Makoto looks forth, holding his arms trying to withstand the onslaught of attacks, thinking, "I can't hold on much longer." Gal's eyes looks furious. "You're gonna be champion? Give me a break." Makoto shoves his arms to the side. "Go Dragoon!" Striking into Dronza, making it fly up into the face of Gal, appearing above it. "It's over! Ardor Arrow!" Dronza strikes down with fire, beating Dragoon away. Dragoon MSUV beats into Makoto's stomach, then falls into the ground, no longer spinning. Makoto falls down on his hands and knees, cringing in pain. His friends call out, "Makoto, are you alright? Makoto!" Gal picks up his blade and starts walking away. "Those Tokyo Blade minions sure duped me, claiming you were some sort of wonder child." Rin looks worried, thinking, "Is he okay?" Then she calls out, "Hey, that was a low blow." Gal looks up on the hill and goes, "Huh?" Rin continues, "To strike the blade into his stomach like that is the lowest." Makoto cries out, "He didn't do it." Makoto struggles to get up. "It was I who couldn't control Dragoon." Makoto gets up through the pain and attaches the blade to his launcher again. "Grant me one more match." Gal continues walking away as Makoto calls out, "Please, wait, I haven't mastered Dragoon yet." Nori stares as everyone looks worried. "Makoto, you don't have to." Makoto interrupts him. "Yes, I do. It's personal now." He looks forward again with a strong will in his eyes. "I'm gonna win." Makoto raises his launcher. "Then, I'm gonna go to the championships and become the world champion." Gal stops and turns around. "If you're that determined, I cannot deny you one last shot, but only on one condition." Gal rips his blade and Makoto rips his in surprise. The two blades face directly full force with lots of sparks, and Gal yells his demand. "Call out your bit beast. It's the only reason I came here. Show me the Blue Dragon." Gal calls up to the sky, wasting no time. "Come out, Dronza!" Dronza flies up from the blade. Suddenly, the blade has a lot more force. Show this pretender what a real battle is like, Gao yells. Makoto is fighting back helplessly as the kids cheer him on. Then he closes his eyes thinking, I have no choice. I have to do it. He opens them up and calls out wide at the sky. Come out, Dragoon! Nothing happens. Everyone watches helplessly as Makoto is in shock. He keeps calling out over and over with no answer. Dragoon! 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 Then he thinks back and remembers what his father said. Dragoon must have thought you were me. The flashback fades as Makoto thinks, does this mean Dragoon does not accept me? Dragoon MSUV gets beaten over and over by Dronza MSUV. Gao thinking, as I thought, it's a fake. Makoto breaks down, tearing up due to the desperation. Dragoon, please come out! Dronza backs away as Gao says, that's enough. The likes of you will never be world champion. Gao charges his second special move, with large strings of flame gathering in spirals around the blade. Dronza strikes into Dragoon MSUV, breaking off a piece of it as Gao yells the name, Spiral Furnace! The tiny piece of metal broken off from the blade flies into Makoto's wrist, making him fall down to his knees, screaming out in pain, as Dragoon flies up in front of him, defeated on the ground. Gao picks up the blade and looks down at his defeated opponent. Listen, kid. It wouldn't matter if the blade was not the real thing, or if it was the real thing, because at the heart of it, you are a loser. There's a billion more like you. Nobodies who dream big and talk big, but they all have one thing in common. They will never amount to anything. Gao turns around and walks away, finishing his speech. And neither will you. Rin slides down angrily, lifting her blade and launcher. Hold it! Gao turns around slightly as she speaks. I'll be your opponent, and I'll avenge Makoto's defeat. Gao turns around again and keeps on walking. If you are ready to fight for that pathetic display, you can't be much of a blader. Rin calls out in anger. You're not just leaving, are you? Gao leaves his final words as it's starting to rain. If you want to help that loser, stay and tend to his injuries. After that, try and convince him to quit. Rin turns around looking at Makoto as Gao finishes his sentence. Guys like that should never become bladers. Rin looks at Makoto in sadness. Makoto, Makoto looks down in tears as the rain is pouring down. He's right. The final shot is of the broken Dragoon MSUV. I never should have become a blader. 'Cause if you could live like me, under